Hello Beans. I have tried to record this update several times and now I have missed several weeks of training updates. So I apologise for that. Alright, what are we on? It's less than 2 weeks until race day. So I have missed three full weeks of update. I will catch you up on what's been going on. Okay, so last you heard from me was after week 11. So week 12, that was the week I did my longest run of the block, 33 kilometers. And that was me recceing most of the race route. That week, other than that run, was essentially normal. I'd switched to power endurance strength training, so a lot of plyometric stuff, mostly sort of single-legged jumping and things like that. And I'd done a hill session, I'd done the club run, which is usually a tempo pace for me, and then I did that long run on the Friday. The run itself was a miserable experience. The weather was awful. It was wet and quite windy for most of it. It was very, very boggy because it had been raining and been pretty poor weather for the days leading up to it as well. So it was super boggy, it was very, very slow, and it emotionally devastated me. I fully had a breakdown in the car afterwards. I was just sobbing whilst peeling wet clothes off myself. And I definitely had to take a bit of time to kind of collect myself before I drove home. So that was horrible on many, many levels. However, the run did achieve its purpose. I did get a good look at the bits of the route that I was less sure of. I do know the route fairly well, but there were a couple of bits that I just wanted to clarify. So the run achieved its goal, despite the fact that it was maybe one of the worst days of my life. And I'm saying that having lost a parent. That's how bad it was. Week 13 of the training block was also pretty interesting. I had entered Longmynd Valley's fell race, which was the first race of the year for me, and also the first race in the English Championships, the fell racing English Championships. And that was an interesting day out. Definitely interesting. I'd not really been expecting to put in an amazing performance because it was at peak mileage for this training block, so I was kind of treating it as my last hard long run before I started tapering, and it definitely achieved that goal. So the rest of the week I'd done, I think I might have skipped the hill session on Monday, or I did something that was a bit more loosely structured because I was feeling a little bit wiped. I did go to the club run on Wednesday, so a bit of faster paced stuff, and then the race on the Saturday. So where do we start? Longmynd Valleys is about 18 kilometers with 1,300 meters of elevation gain, so it's very, very hilly. It's in the Shropshire Hills, which I'd never been to before, and it was really, really pretty. Enjoyed the scenery a lot. Weather was also perfect. It was cloudy, nice and overcast, there was no wind, and it was just a really ideal temperature the whole way around, between probably about between 5 and 10 degrees for the entire race. So it was beautiful weather for racing. The terrain in the Shropshire Hills is pretty grassy, spongy. There's not really rocks, so it was quite good for kind of racing over, in the sense that it was nice soft ground, and there wasn't really a lot of impact on the legs. Obviously, with it being a fell champs race, it's very steep up and down, and one of the main things that was kind of highlighted in the race was that my downhill is atrocious. It's awful. I'm so bad at downhill. While I've kind of obviously got quicker in general, I'm still just terrified. I'm terrified of the downhills, and I don't really know why, because particularly on that kind of ground, if I fall, I'm just going to be rolling on grass, so I'm not going to get hurt. And I don't know what I'm scared of, really. I'm just terrified. I freeze up and I start panicking if I start going quickly downhill. It's bizarre, and it's just something I'm going to have to work on in my training and just introduce it gradually. And I don't know, maybe I need to practice just yeeting myself down hills. I'm not 100% sure exactly how I'm going to tackle it at the minute, but I'm just going to have to add more downhill stuff into my training, but I'm not going to go mental with it, because if I try and like immediately start doing stupidly steep downhills all the time, I don't think that's going to help, because I'm just going to hate it and be scared of it, and it's just going to keep cycling around and getting in the way of my racing ability. So at the minute, the answer is to just do quick downhills a bit more regularly, but in like quite short bursts, because part of the problem seems to be that I just lose focus. So when you're going quickly downhill, you have to be scanning the ground in front of you all the time, which I know theoretically, but it's like my eyes just stop working after about 20 seconds. It's like they get bored, like, no, this is too hard now, don't want to do this anymore, and just refuse to like take in the information. So that's when I start panicking, because I just like can't process the information that my eyes are technically looking at but not really taking in. So that's, I think, something I'm just going to have to work on, is trying to like gradually increase the amount of time that I can concentrate on the ground for. I do have ADHD, as I've discussed in the past, so that probably plays a role in my lack of ability to concentrate on the downhills, but I can probably just gradually work away at it by, yeah, chipping away, adding a bit of fast downhill in, and I think also holding myself more accountable on my like longer runs. It's really easy when I'm out and about to just be like, oh, it's fine, I'll just take it slowly, it's just a long run, I don't need to go quickly, when in reality I should be challenging myself a little bit more. When I've got nobody running with me who's going quicker than me, it's just much easier to pretend like I don't need to do the hard thing, when realistically I should be pushing myself to just try a bit harder sometimes and not chickening out just because there's nobody there. So I did do really badly at Longmid. There were 16 people behind me. I came 289th out of 305. There were 2 DNFs, I think. At the time, I had a good day, like it was a good experience. I learned a lot about where I am at the minute and things that I can work on. The Sunday afterwards, I felt intensely depressed. I think about 100 people passed me on the downhills. That was where it all went. Like, I was just so scared and locked up so much. So many people passed me. So it is what it is. I just know steep downhills are really not my thing at the minute, but I'm going to try and make them enough of my thing that they don't just decimate my races. That's the plan, that's the goal. All right, enough of that. Week 14 was, yeah, 5. That was the beginning of the taper. I did a hill circuit session, I did the club run on the Wednesday, and then I didn't run for 2 days. Right, I remember what happened. Yeah, so I think Thursday, life happened. I planned to do my run in the afternoon and I'd forgotten that I had promised to do something else. So I had to go do that instead because it took priority, and then I just didn't have any time to go for a run. That was entirely my own fault, scheduling. And then Friday, I can't remember why I didn't run Friday. I don't think I felt great. And then I did a long run on Saturday morning, which was 21 kilometers, but not very high elevation gain and quite chill. Didn't really push it very hard. And then I didn't run on Sunday again, but I think I felt a bit out of it. It wasn't ideal. I was volunteering at a race that morning though, so I did do a little bit of like power hiking up and down hills to do my marshalling duties and get photos. But yeah, so the initial tapering drop was bigger than I had intended it to be, but I feel okay now. So this week I'm just going to keep it at like the same mileage I did last week. So we did a hill circuit session on Monday. I've gone for a really short run today. Planning to do the club run tomorrow. I'm going to run about 15 kilometers in the fells on Friday, and then just a couple of short easy runs over the weekend. And then next week is just a handful of really short runs, basically, before the race on Saturday. That's the plan. I'm not doing any strength training in the taper other than like some bit of core work. I am doing upper body strength training, but no lower body strength training, other than maybe a little bit of resistance band stuff just to keep things moving. And that's kind of it, really. The work's done, so it's just sort of like keeping things moving along now until race day. There's a lot that I've learned. This is obviously the first like proper, actually structured training block I've put in for anything. I did run an ultra marathon in 2019, but I didn't really, oh gosh, yeah, looking back on that, I feel like such an idiot. My training for that was shocking, really, when I look back at it, and I've learned a lot since then. So it was nice to kind of put some of that into play in this training block, and kind of figure out where some of my limits are, I suppose, and then we can take that forward to the training block for the next big race. So I do know which races I'm doing for the rest of the year, and I am putting in another structured training block for one of the long English Champs Fell races, but I will talk about that more after Saddleworth. I don't know if I'm going to get an update to you before race day. What I will probably do, what's most likely to happen, is I will do a kind of initial thoughts on how it went after race day, and then I'll have an actual race video, which I'll spend a little bit longer preparing, I think. Yeah, that's probably the way we'll do it. So there won't be a video next week, I don't think. I appreciate these are not like very well filmed or put together particularly well. I'm purely making these for the benefit of those of you who are interested, and hopefully it's been useful to listen to me rambling about my process. I'm kind of hoping to get a little bit better at the filming thing, but I'm not very good at scheduling stuff, and I'm quite busy a lot of the time, so we'll just see how it goes. This YouTube channel is a hobby, so if I get videos made, I get them made. If I don't get them made, I don't get them made. Having said that, I do have like some more specific plans for videos over the rest of this year. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more structure, but I'm not really making any promises. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling. I will not see you next week. I'll get back to you after the race. If you're interested in kind of following in a little bit more real time, you can follow me on Instagram. That's probably where the updates will be easiest to find, or Strava. You can follow me on Strava if you want to. Those links are all down in the description, but there will be a proper thoughts on how everything went. I don't really know how much to talk about it, in the sense that I've set myself a fairly ambitious schedule for the race, which might have to go out the window if the weather's bad in the days leading up to it. That's all I'm gonna say. It's ambitious. There's every possibility I'll crash and burn, but hopefully I've done enough to at least keep things within the margins that I have set myself. So yeah, I'll get back to you after the race. Thank you for watching, for putting up with my complete lack of structure over the last 4 weeks, and have an excellent day. I'll catch you next time.